Crazy ass dog.
He's not even in here yet. So.
My dog is crazy. Hey, stop trying to eat stuff.
Okay, so let's open that.
Come here. No, you're going over here, man.
Okay. Oh,
Over
there
here.
he is. Hello.
Hello.
I'm gonna talk about this.
How we
Hello.
Hello.
We're live. Oh, that's Australian.
Yeah, you slipped into that.
Lovely.
Oh, just finished watching Good Omens, so that's why the British was in there.
Oh,
Oh
I
yeah,
watched that.
that's super fair.
Yeah, it happens.
I was still doing got 1,000 something. $1,002.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, okay. I haven't been watching this one like stock markets.
I still do at work. I'm like, oh. Like yesterday, somebody backed out and it was $1 pledge. Travis is like, you know what you did. Like, I didn't do it.
Yeah. I saw a bunch of other people just posted similar stuff.
I'm just
for like dollar pledges backing out.
That's
so
all
weird.
right. And then one person backed a big thing, the sketch cover, and then they lowered it. They still stayed in, but they lowered it like a lot. And I was
right.
Like, I guess they're still there.
Yeah, it happens. We had somebody. Let's see. We had somebody back ours that I remember in the last campaign, she had something happen and she had to lower it. And so when I sent out the messages for the day one stuff, I was like, I'm so glad to see you back.
Yeah, we got a message on the Mittens campaign, and someone's like, "Hey, I wanted to back the first one, but like I couldn't, so I'm back in this one." So that's cool. That I still got you.
Yeah. Oh man, I'm behind on everything. But y'all are good, right? Y'all have done it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sick still. But
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool, great, awesome. Yeah, no, we're doing all right. I mean, Mittens is kind of hitting that lull as you do, but it's going all right. If I can find what I was. Where'd my pen go? There it is.
One of the reasons I ended up doing a 21 day this time.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah,
it's a good call.
I think that's just going to be the way it is from here on out.
I did that for Chronicles of Horror 2 because the first time it did fun because I'm like, I expect money.
Right.
And then I'm stupid and you're like, well, you're dumb for expecting something. And I was like, yes. So then I redid it for 21 days or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And we got it.
Boom. Yeah, I'm not terribly concerned about ours. We're technically still in our second day, so
yeah. You got that.
It is what it is.
19 backers, 20 days to go.
Yeah.
not to brag, but 16 days ago, 101 backers.
Nice. When did you launch? I don't even remember.
The 20th.
Oh, that's right. Okay. Yeah.
We actually launched around the same date last year. So we're trying to do it like a July summer blockbuster thing.
If I ever had 100 backers on a superhero thing, I wouldn't know what to do with myself.
I've had that. It's just that's why I think it's kind of. I don't get how I have backers like that all the time.
Yeah, it's I don't know. Superhero stuff is still just you never know.
Yeah, Ink was way slower. Like Ink, I only got like 2,000 something or whatever it was. Mittens was like that. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah. What's like Everville and then One Last Job? Those ones were just quick, easy. Didn't have to worry about them. Every time I do superhero stuff, I'm like, ah, crap, here we go
I'm in
again.
some crowdfunding messaging group thing, and Travis was making fun of Mittens. He's like, I gave him my money. I can make fun of it. This Super Nintendo cat. I was like, that's fine.
Super Nintendo cat. N64, thank you.
John Westhoff's like, how dare you? Because he's like, where's Ink 3? And I'm like,
right after Ink 2
we're
just
focusing.
came out.
We're focusing on the cat right now. Like, just focus on the cat.
Now, I was in one of those. I left it.
Yeah, it's probably the one I'm talking about.
Yeah, it probably is. Oh well. Here we are.
Yeah.
What's next?
I was hoping Seer Chronicles 3, but I was talking to Hector, and I was like, I still got to pay you the rest, and I got to get my upstairs and my house kind of like finished. So I don't think that's happening this year. He's like, yeah, I can see that.
I get it. This is the first thing I've done in a minute. But then we accidentally got backed up on stuff. So now there's another thing we need to launch, and then another thing's being worked on.
I might hold off on Seer Chronicles 3 and then still have him work on the fourth one, even though I wanted the Kickstarter to pay for the fourth one, but that's probably not happening. And then we'll launch the third one next year, and yeah. So I'll probably put Chronicles of Horror 3 on the back burner again.
Well, you gotta do what you gotta do.
Yeah.
This was like our big.
I want to close some plots and stuff first. Like Ink 3
this
is
like
the
our
last
farewell stuff for Tilt. Like,
yeah,
I had posted that. You know, anybody that gets stuff on this campaign, we're just going to be throwing in random stuff that we have left over from other campaigns because we kind of want to clear house with all the Tilt stuff. And then like I've been getting multiple messages lately, like, but like you're gonna keep it going though, right? It's just like, nah, not for right now.
Yeah, it's gonna be Ink 3, and you're not gonna see Ink for a minute because there's still Scales, this other character that I want to do. That's just superhero stuff, but Mittens is still gonna be a thing. There's a whole Mittensverse stuff, so.
It's a litter box full of stuff.
Oh my god. That's good.
That's why I'm here.
Like that.
I'm waking up. I'll get there.
Yeah, we got we're doing an ash can as a stretch goal.
Nice.
It's after this last stretch goal that we're trying to get to. And there's this like gang group that Mittens was in like back in his older days, and it's called Oath of the Litter. So it's like adventures back then,
right?
And the ash can's about like finding the perfect tuna sandwich recipe or something.
I get it.
Yeah.
Cheese on it.
Cheese.
Dang.
Did you say cheese?
Yeah, some cheese on it.
Isn't that like a tuna melt?
Yeah.
Oh, I guess it heavily depends on the type of cheese, I guess.
Some like cheddar. Cheese? Yeah. Cheddar.
Yeah,
we're gonna do a melt.
Yeah, don't say like Swiss. That tastes like glue.
Well, not on tuna. No.
Ugh.
Now Swiss has its uses.
I don't like Swiss cheese.
And it ain't tuna. That's ridiculous. Swiss is fantastic.
Well, when I was a kid, was the only time I ate it because that was like the only cheese my dad had at the time, and I was like, "This tastes like glue." And he's like, "Oh, well,
so
that's all I got."
Like, because you're a kid.
Yeah.
You didn't have taste bros yet. You still had taste buds.
Taste bros. Oh no.
Yeah.
That's good.
Just saying.
We're gonna have a variant cover for this one. Didn't have a variant cover because things happened, and then I was like, "Yeah, well, whatever. Next one."
Bro, same. Like, why? I don't know why I do a variant cover on a trade anyway, but people asked.
Yeah, I did. There's 6 or something for ink too. I'm like, so many different masks. I'm not doing that again.
Yeah, it messes up your ordering everything.
Yeah, one person was like, I messaged or something. They're like, it's all the same cover. I was like, no, look closer. And they're like, oh, it is different. I was like, yeah, I'm confused too, and I'm the one that like came up with the thing. Yeah, if I do a variant, it would only be like another variant. It would just be another cover. It wouldn't be like 6. That's just
right.
crazy. I was just trying to introduce that cult, and that was one of the ways to do it.
Yeah.
I don't know how people do like friggin' like 6 variants on like
There's people that do like 40.
10 variants. Yeah,
And I'm like, where do you get the money for that?
well, that's more like what I'm saying is like, I mean, I get the concept of variants and how it can help you, but like, how the hell do you? They must like a lot of them must just do like pay upon completion with the Kickstarter, or they just have funds to save.
Some people do that, yeah.
That's a lot of money, though.
Some people, I don't know. Like,
I would be depressed.
Saying
my one cover I paid for as a variant, it took over a year to get, and then it seemed like it was a little rushed, but it still looks cool. But
nope.
I was like, yeah, I was messaging them like every couple months, and I'm like, yeah, I still haven't gotten that, and I paid for it like January. Where is it? Oh yeah, it's coming. I'm like, well, I see you working on this and this.
I'm still waiting on a book from 2018, so I don't even.
Oof. What?
Like a Kickstarter book, or just like?
Oh yeah.
Oh, I thought
they've
like
all of them have gone on
something.
to do much more things.
Oh,
They're actually known. Like, it's depressing.
That's rough.
Nobody wants to talk about it, though. Nobody wants to talk about it. Anyway, yeah, maybe someday when I'm old and gray, I'm gonna get a random package and it's like, oh,
I backed this back in 2018.
Yeah.
It's been 84 years.
It's the heart of the ocean. It's just wow.
My heart will go on.
There was a
Will it though?
there's a Stan Lee book too that I backed a while ago and it keeps getting pushed back.
Yeah,
It was like his last collected story or whatever. That was a long time ago. Man, I need to go back and check on some of these campaigns.
Yeah, right. Damn.
The only reason I know the 2018 one is because people are funny about it in the updates in the comments. They'll post and they'll be like, well, another 6 months. I hope everyone's doing well. They don't even update anymore.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, I felt
so
like
rough.
kind of like I was annoying people with my Seer Chronicles 2 updates because I was like, yeah, it's still getting worked on. And then it was finally done. I'm like, oh my god, it's done. And then I shared like Frodo, like when he like finally like said, it's done. And like I thought that was funny, but like nobody really thought that was funny. I guess so. It's like,
I bet you got some chuckles.
Yeah.
I'm like, you don't even understand like what I've been through with that. I had to go through this artist, and then like he's like, no, these people are more important. But I paid you. Yeah, but still. All right.
But who's complaining?
Me.
Yep.
Me. Sheepishly.
Stopped by 3 different comic book stores today.
Oh.
They all have very different personality types.
Oh. Like
Interesting.
The store owners? Or?
Yeah.
Oh.
Because we were dropping off little flyers we made for our retail package. One of them hates Neil Gaiman, like with a burning passion.
Oh.
All right.
Greg's face.
Okay. What did you do to them that
existed?
It's something that happened back with the first Sandman trade.
Yeah.
Like he thought he knew what retailers should be doing, and then this shop owner was like, who do you think you are, basically? Anyway, so we were just like, anyway, he has a campaign now that has $1 million and 16,000 backers. So.
Oh,
but he doesn't know what he's doing.
Oh no,
that's fine.
And he put retailer packages on there. That's why we're referencing it. Because then I was like, here's mine.
Yeah, I had to figure out how to get stores to back our campaigns. I had one last year, and that was for the first Mittens, and that's because Travis like helped me get that. And now Danny doesn't even work at the collective anymore. He's going to a different comic book store. So I was like, well, okay.
We've done one so far, but I worked with 4 different people on creating that package. So now I got to be like, so guys, hello.
Did you get your
and
package?
then I gave them their own little stretch goals. Like retailers have their own stretch goals.
Oh, that's cool.
That's a cool idea.
If it happens, it happens. Basically, like if we can get 10 retailers to do it, then they all get a full set of like trading cards, and then 15 they get a set of ash cans to go with the books as well.
Oh, I might do that for the next campaign.
And we offer to do like a live signing, and either in person or online if they're far away.
That's cool.
It's a very good.
Very good idea. Every day, basically, Dylan emails more stores, be like, "Hey, we have comics. We want."
And they're like, "Oh, another email."
Yeah.
And in my promotions box.
And he it's like, "Yeah, we have a whole platform of other comics too." So.
And they're like, "That's too crazy for me. Yeah. I have to order through 3 different places."
Yeah, there's a comic book store owner. It was actually a comic book store that's below where my uncle used to live, the one that passed away. And I actually talked to that guy because he bought a bunch of comics that my uncle had just in his apartment. And I was like, "Yeah, my."
You coughed at him?
Yeah, I was like, "Now you have COVID."
Got him.
So I was like, "Yeah, my uncle said like not to really talk to you because you probably wouldn't care of having indie books in your store." He's like, "Oh no, I have those." I was like, "Oh, like Dark Horse or like actually like indie, like good comics?" And he's like, "Oh no, I would like sell yours." I was like, "Really?" And he's like, "Yeah, they'll probably be in like the back of the store." I was like, "Well, thank you for that." That's
thanks.
Hey, like, honesty is important.
I was like, "Okay, well, I have a whole platform of those, so
just gonna put them in a long box under the table."
I'm like, "Yeah, but we'll like promote your store and stuff. So make your website not look like trash." Like that's an idea that Dylan has. Is like he's finding out a lot of comic book stores they have websites that are just garbage, and he's like, "I can create this as a service, and now you can take this as an idea too, and we can all just fix all of their stores."
Yeah, that's easier said than done.
Yeah, and
they have to change their mindsets before they're even willing to do that. Like we stood there for, I don't know, 10 minutes while this dude just lambasted trade paperbacks, and then I was like, "Anyway, here's a flyer for my trade paperback that's on Kickstarter."
What was the slam?
Don't throw it away while I'm still standing here.
Yeah, straight up.
You throw it away later.
What was his problem with trade paperbacks?
Well, shops can't sell them. They don't move a lot of them at all.
Okay. They got the issues.
That's why they end up at Ollie's.
He actually says that they do sell them. Like that's what he sells more of than regular floppies and stuff. Like,
so he's in a weird.
Yeah, that's weird.
He's got a weird business model then. Because basically, what's keeping shops open right now is their eBay stores, selling toys and statues and figures and all that stuff.
I haven't even been in his store at all. I was in my uncle's apartment.
See, exactly.
And I was like, "Yeah, I haven't actually been in your store, but you know." And then he was like, "Yeah, your uncle has this one comic that I need." And I was like, "You need it?" and he like bought, I think, almost every single one that we found. It's Savage Sword of Conan, and it's so many of them. And then he just was talking about the history of that to my mom, and she's just like staring at him like blank, like I don't care what you're saying right now. And I was like, "Yeah,
Conan O'Brien."
Yeah, Conan O'Brien.
Savage Sword of Conan O'Brien. I'd read that.
And Andy Richter.
I'd read that too.
Just chilling in the background.
Yep. Cool.
I would read the shit out of that.
That's next parody book right there.
There you go.
If somebody backs tilt before we're done here, I'll get you a tuna sandwich, I guess.
Is anybody watching this?
Yeah, 2 people.
Hi.
I share to enough groups that I feel like there should be people.
Nobody cares anymore.
I don't share to Twitter now.
Am I cynical? Yeah.
Because
Anyway, I'm doing a show Monday night.
Yeah, I saw that. That's
Yeah.
cool. You'll probably get more viewers then.
I wouldn't bet on that. I know, like, have you talked to Sarah, the girl in our other cross promo chat?
Talked to her, but she's talked in the group message.
Okay.
Yeah,
She's planning on being on Monday too.
Oh.
All the way from across the pond.
Like UK? Or?
Yep.
Oh, okay. That's cool.
Yep. And then other people I don't know were also like, I want to come on.
Oh my god, that reminds me. There's a guy that has a podcast that's in Scotland, and like trying to get on his is like almost a nightmare. Just because I'm like, oh well, I work here, and then the hours are completely different.
Right.
Yeah. Well, you can't do like 7 there because that's like 3 here. Like, ew.
Yeah. I remember the last campaign. There were a couple that were from the UK, and it was just like in the middle of the afternoon for me. It's just like, this is weird. You're over here talking about like dinner and stuff.
It's not
figure out what I'm
dinner
gonna
time.
Yeah, this is ridiculous. It's America.
Damn it.
What's up, nerds?
What's up, Timothy?
You can join us if you're
F-ling.
not busy with your shows or anything.
Yeah, Timothy.
Yeah. Hi, guys. Oh, wow. Hey.
Oh, what's up, Katrina?
Yeah,
Hi,
she
Katrina.
edited Mittens.
Oh,
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
she did. She did that.
Well.
And so did Jason Webb. Jason Webb is more of like a idea guy. He was like, hey, remember that one scene from Batman Forever? Yeah, okay. Wait, is that is Batman Forever the one with the George Clooney? Which one is it?
Yeah, I think so. That
Yeah.
sounds right.
And he was like, yeah.
Timothy said to
You know that
shoot a link.
montage of him suiting up? Just
Batman.
copy that with Mittens. And I was like, okay. Sure. So did something.
Timothy
like that.
said to send him a link.
Yeah, I'll do that. We'll have questions then and stuff.
I know he probably does have questions,
He'll actually like.
but do we have answers?
No, I don't.
Doubtful.
We'll just make it all up.
Josh, are you drawing something?
It sure is.
What you drawing? What you drawing over there?
He's drawing that not safe for work Mittens variant cover.
Oh, good
Oh.
God. No, no,
God,
no,
yeah.
thank you.
That
Here, I'm
changed
hopping
the,
in. That's rough.
I have no answers. I have pneumonia.
All Jessica said all 8 nipples showing.
That's not the first time I've had someone make that
And then it
joke.
says, "Got milk?"
Jesus.
All right, so Katrina's dying.
Yeah, I'm getting over COVID, so you know.
I didn't even know that was still a thing.
Apparently, it is.
You-
'Cause they
Yeah,
got
you
it
go
from
outside and
the
stuff.
guy
It's
at
weird.
work. You mean the famous butt scene? Oh, well, nah, it wasn't the famous butt scene. It was more
was
the
that scene.
The nipples thing.
It was, it's
yeah,
the
it was the
same,
nipples
Greg, it's the
thing.
same scene.
Same scene.
Yeah, it's the same thing. Yeah, whatever.
It's
I
the
don't
same
know. I haven't watched
scene.
that in forever.
How dare
Well,
you?
that's your
You haven't
problem.
watched Batman Forever and Forever?
No.
Ayo.
Did I send him the link? Yes, I did. Okay.
I
This
still
is
think we
the,
should do a crossover of Tilt holding Mittens. Tilt shirtless holding Mittens.
Shirtless, specifically.
Yeah.
Oh, man. That's
Did you know that before this was like an all ages comic, it was gonna have like swearing and stuff in it because that's how I write.
Like gasp.
Yeah.
I just wrote my first F words in a script
Ever?
ever.
How does that make you feel?
I mean, somebody hired me to write their script, so I felt fine with it.
Awesome.
How is that? I'm guessing that's for Edward Davis.
No,
No? Oh.
no.
I was just throwing something out there.
No, Ed and I edited something for him that's going to be coming out.
What's up, Tim?
There he is,
Hey,
Heyo.
all the way from Earth Dog.
All the way from Earth.
how's my audio?
Good.
You sound clean.
Hey, nice to see you guys.
Yeah.
Hello.
You just the way you said that just sounded like you're about to start a show.
I guess I'm pre-wired for it anymore.
Yeah.
Hey, Katrina, how are you?
She's got pneumonia.
That's not fun.
No.
What? That
Man.
sounds serious.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of people sick in here. I'm hanging in there.
So
I am-
what Josh's drawing is for our ash can stretch goal thing.
Stretched goal.
Expansion
Photoshop.
goal, whatever you want to call it.
Photoshop's being dumb.
And I should say, nice to meet JR. I don't think we ever crossed paths before.
Hello.
Really? Like ever?
I mean, maybe out there somewhere in the wilds, but
Out there in podcasting land.
yeah. But no, it's officially nice to officially meet you.
Pleasure's mine. Pleasure's mine.
It's just nice to see you again, Timothy.
Yeah, I'm going to jump on, and I kind of have been away, first of all. So I apologize for not getting back to you guys. I've been up in upstate New York taking care of some business. Actually,
who wants to go to upstate New York?
yeah, that's Greg knows I got some family up there, and we had.
Y'all could have had lunch.
Well, he's actually so far the other direction.
Oh,
It's
Yeah.
funny.
and he's sick.
Yeah, that's sick.
You
Even
you're
though I
sick?
still have to go to work.
Yeah, so are you that sick, you know?
Well, ask my boss. He'll say one thing, and I'll say another. So.
Well, there's a couple things I wanted to do, which is the first thing. Let's jump on and back some projects because I want to make sure that I talk the talk and walk the walk, right? So we can do that. We'll jump on to Mittens first, which I'm a fan of Mittens. Let me just say for the record, I was honored to write one of the pull quotes for Mittens #1. I was very excited to do so. And I was in on that one. I think am I in on Ink too? I might be. I forget.
Oh, I think so.
You know, when you got somebody like Greg, he is very prolific and he's constantly putting out these projects, right? So it's hard to keep track of them all. The mighty Seer Nova Empire.
Yeah, mighty.
I love that, and I want Greg. I want you to use that. The mighty Sierra Nova Empire. I love that.
Now
I'm
I
also
won't
going to
have
back
one.
Tilt. I'm a fan of Aaron's, and I don't know if you guys saw this. Maybe you did see it.
Call
We're a
it.
little bit pals, a little bit off screen, but I
Oh,
got
no,
these.
this came out so dope.
They are so cool, man, and backers just love them.
I need one to
Yeah.
stick on the back of my laptop.
Oh, that's cool.
I'll make sure you get one. And so what I did is I went to another company to get it because it's either like custom cut and they even got a cool gloss.
That's cool.
Nice job, Aaron.
Appreciate it.
Yeah,
Good job
you did that.
printing.
You did that logo, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm going to. I wanted to reach out because, and again, not to take anything away from the thunder. Thank you, Katrina. That was by
Yeah,
Aaron,
we're
by the
really
way.
thundering here.
Well, I want to get with Aaron again to next. Well, hopefully the 5th it will launch. This will be the trade paperback of the collected Water Wars series for the first time.
Nice.
And there'll even be 2 stories that have been unreleased so far, including the naughty version of the one that was rejected from Russell Nolte's book. When I say rejected, the story did make it to the book, but we had to edit the. It is a Lovecraftian goddess who is a little bit boobtacular in the original version, and that's an all-age book. And they were like, "Hey,
I
wait a
heard
second."
was cha-ching.
Right. Yeah. Well, as you know, my books aren't particularly sexy or anything. When you look at it, like, oh, this is very tame. But
Yes,
it's
same.
it's. And by the way, that's not me disparaging somebody. I love the female form as much as the next person. But it to me, like if you read the stories, it's not. I don't want somebody to go, I put a sexy cover on it to get more sales. People will read it and they'll be like, well, hey, wait a second. I thought this was going to be sort of.
No one would ever do that. Blasphemy.
But what I was thinking, Aaron, we could get together and I'll message you after the show.
Okay.
But basically the same kind of thing as this design, but it'll be like a gas mask and like a
Yeah.
and it's a
Yeah, let
hat
me
with
do
a
that
peace sign. Yeah, you'd be great at this. And
Yeah, let me do that.
we tried to do one once before and it just didn't quite click, but I mean, I really like your aesthetic and I think that you are a good communicator and stuff. And I think that we would be able to nail it. And by the way, this one was very popular. The initial feedback, people were like, oh, I love the sticker. And we even made it the back cover as well. I don't think, did I show you that?
I've seen it.
Well, I mean, actually, hold on a sec. I want to show you guys because I got the proofs. Excuse me one moment.
Proofs time. Proofs,
That's
man. I got to start ordering this.
Did you get my package? That because you won because you actually participated in the comments.
Yeah. We actually Jessica and I both sat down at the same time with our books and we're like, oh, we need to post that we got these, and then like we just never did.
Oh, okay. I was just wondering. Did you see my little labels? Because like I still have to figure out how to make the like wording bigger on the label.
I didn't.
So I got a label printer. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks a little weird. I'm like, hopefully these ship to everybody.
So in this case, I thought you might dig this.
Oh yeah. Look at
Oh,
that.
very cool.
Isn't that cool? And we tried to match it up to. Aaron had kind of a cool green trim in the, so we kind of matched it to the cover of the book, and that is on the printable hollow foil. The back so it has kind of a shimmer
That's
to
awesome.
it. The front is
Man.
the X-Files cover.
I did
Oh,
something
very
right.
cool.
Yeah. So I just wanted to state for the record, I was very satisfied working with Aaron. If anybody's out there listening, definitely recommend
My
him as-
motto: leave everyone satisfied and smiling.
Michael Scott.
Yep. There you go.
Oh man.
Now, sometimes you get good clients too, and that's the hardest mix-up. Is like sometimes you get bad clients. Sometimes you get a client like Timothy, where he's like, "That's dope."
Well, and in this case, he got it on the first try. There was two.
Yeah.
There's, if it works out this way, I'll tell you what my thinking was, and I don't always know the right answers to things. Greg knows. I just keep trying stuff to see what's going to work, and I'm never quite sure. We had this plan that we're going to launch this Western next. And it'd be fair to say that I'm very behind schedule on that. But due to the number of customers and the response being so good with the cryptid book, we might just launch into cryptid number 2 and sort of try and keep the momentum, so to speak.
I mean, you gotta give the people what they want.
Yeah,
Aliens are real. So.
if we were right, man, if we were a band and we were up on stage and we just got done playing Freebird and everybody was cheering, they'd say,
And they want more Leonard Skinner.
they'd say, play another Skinner song. So,
Yep.
So can you play Freebird again?
yeah, I was a little bit worried that I'm sort of, I don't know if typecast is the right word, but similar to you guys in a lot of ways. I'm not really I don't do a lot with superhero stuff. It's sci-fi short stories. So I wanted to branch out, and that's how we came up with the idea for this Western. But, to be honest with you, I kept writing and writing, and it's ballooning into this huge, I'm at 60 pages, and it's not even done.
Oh, goodness. Nice.
Yeah, so
Man.
I'm thinking of one of two things. Are you ready for this? And you can tell me, be honest, if you think I'm nuts or not. Either to expand it it was going to be like a single issue thing, and it's quickly becoming almost graphic novel sized.
Mhm.
Or I could release it as a novel and have each chapter. What I've been trying to do, I got 2 projects like this. Each chapter has what they, like in an old book, do you remember what they call a frontispiece? Like you'd have a chapter and there'd be an illustration at the beginning of each chapter.
Right.
Yep.
And
I mean, so
don't
like
know.
my personal preference is like, I like reading. So like, I would be all on board for a novel. That sounds awesome.
That does sound great, honestly.
oh, thanks, Katrina. And I appreciate your feedback, guys. Because like I say, I don't know.
Or do both. Do the novel and then make an adaptation.
Yeah. And it's something where I'm not too sure, but next year I have I'm going to try to jump into the novelist water because I did that last year. I have one on the burner here, which is this the Red Goddess novel, and it was like 55,000 words, so it's ready to go.
Mhm.
But I'm just not sure how to launch it. And I always, you can tell just from even doing it just now with you guys, I try to ask people who are smarter than I am, what is the right way to do this, because I don't know. And a lot of my friends are novelists, but I always feel like what I'm doing is different. It's not, and I don't mean like different like I'm so great. I mean like it doesn't
Right.
quite fit in with what other people are doing. And because it's not, it's not about dragons. And again, I'm not disparaging what anybody else is doing, but I always sort of feel like that kid getting called last in gym class. It's like, oh, here's this guy again with the post-apocalyptic stories. And this one is
let me know what you do find out though if you ask a bunch of different people, because I have a bunch of other projects too that are in that vein, and it's hard to get good input on it.
Well, I'll tell you what I've heard, and if Katrina's still out there, she knows I talk a little bit to Russell Nolte, and I'm also in a couple of his editing groups. I've been trying to do a little bit of the editing myself. And when it comes to the novel, what they recommend that you do is that you save up about, easily it's going to be $5,000, and you try and hire an editor that has like a name.
Yeah.
And that's one of the ways to sort of get your novel across the curb. And that's way number one. And way number two is to just sort of say something like, look, this is the way I write. And you just put the darn thing out. Yeah, manga stuff is huge right now. Manga, depending how you say it. I say manga. I know that's.
I say manga.
I say manga.
Yeah.
It's however
Manga.
I feel like saying it.
Manga.
Manga.
And that's a very good example, right? Because it'd be fair to say that there's manga is probably the most popular category right now. And there's no element of anything that I'm doing at all that's even slightly like manga. So, what do you do? That's, I'm probably wrong. I'm probably the last kid for the party, right?
No, I legitimately have no interest in it. So I think I will be the last kid.
Yeah. And can I ask you? Yeah. And Katrina, I know you do that too. So maybe there's something we could do together. I don't know if you guys knew this, but I've been joining the editing groups on Facebook and trying to post and trying to build my credibility and that kind of thing. And I have 3 clients already, but I'm trying to be careful not to. The first thing is I don't want to step on anybody's toes who's already doing it.
It's inevitable.
It's a big enough pond, I hope, where there's enough customers. And again, for me,
inevitable.
Yeah, I'm not trying to be a full-time editor. What I'm trying to do is to build my profile a little bit and to, I'm trying to become a novelist next year. So I want people to say things like, hey, I worked with him. He's a knowledgeable fellow. He treated me well. And also I do the thing I don't really do the proofreading. I do this. It's an 11-step process where you go through all the, it's lettering, pacing, rhythm. It's all the things. I'd be glad to talk about that. Yeah, Aaron does some editing too, is my understanding.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, you work with Sarah, right?
Maybe.
Yeah.
No.
I love her, by the way. I think she's terrific. And
Yeah, she's cool.
Matter of fact, that's one of the things that she's going to be on the show next week or 2 weeks, something like that. But I just think she's awesome. I wish her every success with Knave of Hearts. Viewers, if you're listening, that's Knave of Hearts live on Kickstarter right now. Go over and check it out. Did you edit that one, Aaron?
I did.
Edited by Aaron Dowen.
There you go.
That's some quality editing.
And Aaron's got a Kickstarter going on called Tilt.
I do. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a trade.
Superhero stuff.
Superhero stuff.
It does great on campaigns. Couldn't go better. Everyone loves superheroes, especially ones they don't know.
I'm gonna jump on. I'll do that one right now, buddy.
So you want to pull that up visually?
Yeah.
All right, so
I
Greg's
was
the
like-
best person to talk about Tilt, really, because he knows Tilt. Go ahead, Greg, take it away.
Not the creator of the Tilt.
We're listening.
So Tilt is about a guy. Oh, look at that. 20 backers. Oh.
Nice.
It's about a guy does things, eats tuna sandwiches, and fights crime.
I
That's
never
me
said
on
it
the
was a
Lucky
tuna
20.
sandwich. How dare you? How dare you? No, it's fourth wall breaker. It's gritty. It's got a lot of heart. He takes his shirt off a lot because we thought it was funny. And you know what? I stand by that. But yeah, I mean, good villain. The surprising part for us was people's connection to like the extra characters, the secondaries. People were like, that character's awesome. And I was like, well, that's cool. So maybe got to do more with that someday. Powerhouse with DeSantos and Amancio doing the inks and colors. It's been completely remastered, relettered, and it's even got some bonus stuff in there that nobody's seen before. 2 flash fiction stories were like on our last campaign for like the couple of people that did our highest tier. They were just something extra that I did. So people that haven't seen that, this will be the first time for that. And then Joe also did a 7-page short comic story that's going to be in there too. And that one's based on the villain Talon. So it all's
What do you
coming
mean
together.
by remastered? Tell us more about that.
Yeah, so I lettered the book originally when I didn't know how to letter. So I relettered it now that I know how to letter. And so it looks a lot better. And so this is the first time it's all been collected together. We do have some plans after this to try and get it in through actual publishers, not any of the comic book places, but they're like actual book publishers, and try to get distributed that way. And it's the first time we've offered producer tiers on there. We only have 2 of those, and one of them is gone. And that basically gives you producer credits in the opening of the book, where you are forever a producer of Tilt Volume 1.
Nice. How much is that one? How much is that tier?
It's like 400. Comes with a bunch of stuff.
That's kind of neat.
Yeah. It was a random idea we had. In fact, I talked to Greg about it way back in the day. I was like, I don't know why I never do this. Greg was like, that's not a bad idea. So then finally did it.
What's some tips for someone brand new to Kickstarter in the indie world?
Build an email list.
Yeah, that.
First.
Do that. And then start joining some Facebook groups. And I say some because there's a lot that are just Kickstarter graveyards.
Right. The link graveyard.
Like Indie Comic Conspiracy.
That's a good one.
There's a couple other ones that are good. Can I name them right now? No.
That's what I'm trying to think of.
There's Discover Indie Creators is pretty good.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Support indie comics is good.
Yeah.
I think Comic Chaos. I think it's
Yeah, Comic Chaos.
something like that.
There's Indie Comics Revolution. That's Nita Lanning, I believe. Do you guys know Nita? She's pretty.
Oh
cool.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
She's a cool cat.
She's a cool cat.
Yeah.
I would say, Gareth, that's a great question. One thing that I would recommend is if you try to help other creators, it's almost always, it's going to sound selfish, but by helping other people, you get a better percentage of being successful yourself.
Yep.
And it doesn't always have to be monetarily. Look, I'll be honest with you, and actually Greg knows this because we talked about it. You're going to get to a level where it's hard to support the creators because there's so darn many of them. So
Yep.
I have like a pretty close ring of them, of people I'll support financially, which is like the people in this room, for example. But the rest of them, I try to do things like interview them for the shows, or help them with artwork, or sometimes we talk about little lettering tips or editing tips. And really, if you come at it from a place of honesty and just trying to be a nice human, it'll pay off for you.
It will.
Nice to meet you, Gareth. I appreciate you doing it. Gareth, are you working on a book? What's your book called?
I'll wait for an answer.
Yes, we will.
Kids in
All right, so you're getting ready to launch something, Timothy.
Yeah.
When
I
did
am.
you say that was again?
I didn't announce it yet, but my guess is September 5th. I've got the page
September
almost
5th.
ready.
Okay.
I'm still like sorting out the rewards and things, and I'm going to do things like some of them you guys know already. I do the laser engraved wood etchings. I'm debating about a T-shirt. I know people like that. By the way, I love your idea about it was like a card that's a initiation card or something.
Oh yeah. So the big bad guys in our universe are the Council of Elders. They're just a bunch of hooded people, and so I thought it'd be cool for the 4th issue to do it where people can scan it and it'll take them to their initiation
Fight like a demon.
That's you.
Nerdonetics.
Okay.
Yeah, sure. I've heard of it.
Yeah.
I've heard of it.
Yeah.
And I've heard of it through the company anyway. You know, David Daub. I'm sometimes partnered up with David a little bit. Do you guys know David?
I don't know him, but I see him comment every time somebody shares my thing.
Yeah, he does this thing, which I love, by the way, and it's how I stumbled across him. He's one of these guys who says, look, it doesn't cost anything to like and to share and to try to help other creators. And he kind of really, what I've noticed, let me just say this first. You're going to notice a lot of people say things like, well, the Facebook algorithm is broken and they're burying my posts. You can hear that 100 times. And man, Tim Fling will tell you the opposite is true. The opposite is true. The Facebook algorithm, in fact, works perfectly. And if you want your own post to perform better and to get better traction, what you need to do is interact with others and promote their work. And like I say, when I say promote, I don't even mean spending your money. But liking, sharing, make a comment is one of the best ones. And what's going to quickly happen, it's like a snowball, right? Like if you start to really interact with everybody, the percentage of likelihood that they will see your posts increases dramatically. Mm-hmm. And I think everybody has this kind of idea that, well, hey, I just put up a post and my stuff's so good that everyone will automatically be drawn to it. And unfortunately, that's not really the case. But there is no benefit for Facebook to bury your posts. In fact, the opposite is true. They make money from advertising, and what they look for is engagement. So if you're the type to engage, man, sometimes do what David does, and he might actually do it a little too much, you understand. But like he'll go through in an afternoon and just like hit everybody. Now he's asking questions, which are like, oh, tell us how you got the idea and, this kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so I had stumbled across him so much, it turned out that he was from Pennsylvania. And he said to me one time, hey, I'm going to be down at this. It was a signing is what it was. And I said, hey, man, I'll swing by and see you. And, I dropped into the comic book store to check him out. And it turns out we're both under the Antarctic Press label, and by the way, my deal's very small. I don't have any kind of big publishing deal, right? I'm in the little anthologies and I'm in Planet Comics, but again, I'm nice to the people, so I keep getting in, right? Well, here I hit it off with David almost right away. He's a really nice guy, and he says, hey, I'd like to do more conventions, but I have trouble covering the cost. Would you like to start splitting a couple of these? Well, it's freaking genius for me because I have the same problem, right?
Right.
To be honest, I'm not 100% sure how people do it. What I mean by that is, I'll give you a great example. Do you guys know Trevor Fernandez Linkevich? He does Area 51. It's a sci-fi book. Another great guy. I met him in Baltimore. He does something like 10, 12 conventions a year, including Canada. And I finally said to him, and by the way, his book's great, man. Terrific artwork, great writing, great pull quotes, all the right things right in a row. And a high-performing Kickstarter as well. He's a 5-figure guy. And I said to him, hey, how are you pulling this off to go to all these conventions? Because in my case, till I pay for the table and the hotel, I'm almost already negative. That's before I eat anything and drive there, right?
Right.
And my sales are pretty good. I can't complain, but I'm typically selling products that are in the $5, $10, $15 range. Well, you talk about a good table is going to be $300, and I try to do a double table when I can because it is marketing. You want to look the part, right? So he says, well, I put it on the credit card and I use the mileage to, I get the points, and the points pay for a lot of the stuff. And I'm like, that just doesn't work for me. I'd have to be charging stuff left and right just to get half of it. So I started teaming up with David, and so far we've done like Philly and Hershey and a couple of these things. And we the interesting thing, I'll admit to you, David and I hope it's okay to talk about this, but it would be fair to say that we are on opposite ends of the political spectrum. But he's like I like to think I can get along with anybody. And David's one of those guys he's very intellectual. He's an extremely intelligent guy. And I was trying to hear him out, right? And we can like talk about stuff without, on Facebook, you probably noticed you can't do that. You can't have an intelligent conversation on Facebook. And for that reason, you've probably noticed I never say anything about anything because it's all about the brand. I don't want anything to hurt my brand. But with David, we can very openly talk about our things and what we think and that kind of thing. And it would be fair to say, yeah, Gareth, I saw that. His book is, I feel terrible. I can't remember it right now because we should give him a shout out. Gareth, if you know the name of the book, put it in the comments and we'll shout it out on the air. But so I started partnering up with David, and we're going to try and do a lot of conventions. Unfortunately, my spots were already filled for Baltimore. I'm having a pretty good Baltimore year. I'll tell you guys this. When I tell you, you're not going to believe it. Last year, I helped a fellow who is from Pennsylvania. He's sort of I guess we'd call him a celebrity. And he designs stage backdrops and this kind of thing for bands. Like he worked with Kevin Hart, the comedian. He worked with Alabama. It's a country act and pretty big names. And then he started designing his own clothing line. It's called the Rockstar Designer. And they're like jackets that have guitars on them. They're really cool. And he got invited to the Cannes Film Festival then. And I guess he's in some fashion show. And it's one of those things where you do the right things and it started spiraling on him.
Right.
Well, he knew me. We've known each other since we were kids almost. And he says, hey, I see you're this comic book guy. He does motivational speaking now. And he says, when I go to these classes and speak to when I say kids, these are people in their 20s. But, guys, to me, someone in their 20s is a kid. No disrespect. But he says, I want to be able to hand out a biography. The Littlest Space Marine. That's what it is. Thank you, Gareth. Viewers, go right now and check out The Littlest Space Marine by David Dowen. So I started working with this fella. His name's Star. And he says, I want to make a comic book based on my life, and I'm going to hand it out at these motivational speaking engagements. Great, man. That's something I do. And he'd seen my books, and he kind of liked them. So we started having these meetings, and I'm helping him. When I say help, I was just being nice, right? Hey, this is how you go through a script. And, well, you might want to put this layout. Don't forget, you got the even odd pages. This is going to spread across too. Actually, this panel might be best if it was a silent panel, like little tips that we know from being involved in comics, how to make it cool, right? And it ended up being this really cool life story of his. And it's one of those stories that when you read it, like, he's a really nice guy and like things started to happen for him. All right, great. So, and it was a paying gig for me. They paid me and I was very happy and we're pals and we both go along our way. Well, a year later, the book gets released and he's handing it out to all these students and whatnot. And I finally see it for the first time in Hershey. Well, they credited me as the writer of the darn project, which I was like, gosh, thanks. You really didn't have to do that. After all, it is an autobiography. It isn't like I wrote a piece of fiction. Basically, what I helped him to do was to formulate what really happened in his life. And he's a pretty darn good writer himself and a very good artist as well. And so I was very grateful already. Well, then it gets picked up on a news story because he's like mildly famous in Czechoslovakia, right? So then the book is in this Czech news article. And then he writes him and he says, well, look, we need a publisher. I don't really make comics, so to speak. And well, okay, I'm hooked up with Comics Wellspring. Anyway, there's going to be a press release about this week. Earth Dog Studios is now the exclusive publisher of the Rockstar Designer autobiography. And it's going to go to something like 7 different countries, right?
That's awesome.
I know. And first of all, I'm really grateful for this. And I wish I could tell you, well, guys, it's because I'm so skilled at writing autobiographies and I'm so awesome. But it's not that at all. I was like the right guy in the right place. And I was just politely going through the steps. And I'm really honored that they did that. And so now we're going to go to Baltimore and there's going to be like this. It's like a little signing tour because the letterer, by the way, was Justin Birch, Ringo nominated letterer. You guys probably know Justin, who I recommended. I've worked with him a couple times and he's a sweetheart. And so it's going to be Baltimore and then Harrisburg. And then there's one other one. I forget what the third one is, but it's like a thing we go to and we sign copies of the book. And it's mostly going to be Star. His name is Star, which he's the celebrity. I'm sure there's not too many people that are going to say, hey, I wanted the signature of the dude who helped put together the autobiography. But maybe there will.
You'll be there. Yeah.
I'll be there. And again, for me, it goes into, we were saying earlier, and Gareth asked this question, It's always about building your credibility as a artist and a creator. Like, so now our portfolio for the Earth Dog, it's 2 full pages of titles. And like, if you would have said that this would happen, I'd be like, no, there's no way that would happen. And, you know,
Right.
sometimes things happen accidentally if you're just trying to be helpful. And in my case, I was really just trying to be helpful. I wasn't even trying to do it for the credit necessarily. But although it was helpful, I got paid for the script during COVID when we were all off of work. So I admit that came in handy. It was a nice pay. I think that they paid me $500 for the script.
Nice.
Yeah. And so, you know, I've been really lucky as a creator. I think it's, you know, I've never particularly thought of myself as that talented of a fella. Like, I see what other people are doing. I'm like, oh, this is really good. Like Mittens, for example, man, when that thing first came out, we were like, this is brilliant, right? Like, what a great concept, you know, the cats in space and the whole bit. And it's got kind of like this cool color palette. So viewers, if you're listening, that's Mittens. It's on Kickstarter right now. Call to action. Go over and pick that up. They got a digital tier, right? Just $5 it starts.
Yep.
Very affordable. Definitely recommend it. I'm looking forward to reading the second issue.
Yeah.
But where I was going with that was, if you're kind of helpful to other people, sometimes that is more, sometimes you can level up faster by doing that than by making your own product even. And that was kind of the idea why I started, you know, I jumped into the podcasting waters, or video, however you want to put it. And by the way, I'm going to offer this to both you guys. I think we had forgotten about this. We also make what they call the 11-second pitch videos. They're TikTok videos. Aaron's actually next he's the next one to go up. If I have time, I'll do it tonight. It'll probably be tomorrow though. But then I'll do one for Mittens after that if you want, Greg.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
And I say that like half jokingly, but get ready for this. Ready? So I did one for John Westhoff. His book is called Drumsticks of Doom, and he's a sweetheart of a dude. By the way, he's one of the fellas I might potentially be working with in the editing. I think that maybe I shouldn't have said that. But
Well, you may end up editing something him and I are doing together.
Oh, no kidding. He didn't tell me what it was, but he was like the second guy to write to me and start asking a lot of questions. Because what he wanted,
stop being a superhero and he joins a band, or
yeah, because he and I are musicians, so we talk a lot about musical stuff. I know Aaron is too. And that was how it kind of came up. But on his video that we made for these 11-second pitches on Facebook Reel, it was almost 900 views, which, guys, I don't get 900 views on anything. That was really good. And then I also put it on TikTok, and it's like close to 500 views there. And then it's also on a YouTube Shorts, which don't do that well for me, but it was like 60 or 70. But it's going to end up being close to 2,000 views on the Drumsticks of Doom pitch video.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And again, you know, it isn't even, I don't consume any TikTok content. I don't watch any of it, but I'm cognizant of the fact that there's new forms of media, and we have to, as creators, we want to be we have to embrace these things, right? I didn't even really know how to use it that much, but my daughter she's like a TikTok, she has like 40,000 followers and gets invited to museums and all this crap. She's a historian. You guys know this, right? You know who my daughter is, right?
I did not know that. Nope.
Yeah, one of the reasons why I can't say political stuff on the air, she's the White House historian.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, right. So I'm not allowed.
I just want to ask you political questions.
Well, I always have to, because, you know, sometimes people say things to her like, like I always say stuff like, "Hey, don't be late to work. You might wake up Sleepy Joe," you know, making jokes.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, Dad, you can't even make a joke because, you know, I have to be nonpartisan.
Greg, you need to trim that, and there's your point now.
Yeah, thanks, Katrina. You know, I love saying, you know, when she was in college, and this would, again, show you what a genius Tim Fling is. You ready for this? I said, a history major, what do you want to do that for? And she said, well, I really like history, and I like museums, and I like all the different elements of blah, blah, blah. And by the way, my son's like that too. And I was like, I don't know, man. I said, it doesn't sound very good to me. I said, maybe you ought to take something like marketing, you know, or because, of course, I'm so smart, right? So, right. And then she goes through Pittsburgh, gets a 4-year degree. And then she says, well, I think I want to go on to grad school. And I'm like, grad school? What for? She's like, oh, I want to get my, a master's in history. And I'm like, history? What are you going to do with that? I said, look, you got to broaden this out. Maybe something in the tech field, right? Because I'm so smart. You should do what I say to do. So, she goes through, gets her master's, from George Washington. And then her first gig out of college, she was one of the helper at like a docent. Do you know what that is? It's like the person you ask questions to at a museum. They tend to be students and volunteers. And she was at, it was Mount Vernon, which is George Washington's place, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she did real well there. And I guess she got approached by somebody from the White House who, this is after a year, maybe it was 2 years, and they offered her to be a fellow, which is, I'm not 100% sure what a fellow is, but I know it's lower. It's like a flunky, right? And she did that for, I guess it was a year and a half, maybe 2 years, and she got promoted. She's a full-time White House historian.
That's cool.
So, yeah, if you read something about the White House or even watch it on TV, she wrote it.
Huh.
So my point is, thank God she didn't listen to her father, right? She'd be selling.
If only all our kids would not listen.
But so, that's my story about, why you should try to let things happen a little bit instead of make things happen. Because thanks to her not listening to me, she's basically got her dream job. And, she's 26 years old. I still have no idea what I want to do.
Make comics.
You're doing it. You're making
comics. Yeah, that's funny you say that. And it is true. I've been making comics full time here for the last year. It's what I've been doing.
It's actually really funny because my
awesome.
boss jokes about that too. He's like, yeah, Greg's going to get really big with one of his comics. You're funny.
As I'm fond of saying,
not.
You only have to get lucky once.
Yeah.
And it's, it's, I'll try to leave.
My foreman, because I do construction, so I pick things up and put them down. And he's like, you should make a Western comic. I'm like, well, technically my Mittens comic is like a Western comic in a way. He's like, oh, cool. And I was like, yeah, you should back it on Kickstarter. He's like, I don't know what Kickstarter is. It's like,
Well, I'd like to ask you guys' opinion about this. Because my next thing is a Western, and I'm trying to break out of the sci-fi genre a little bit. And what we decided to do is to have sort of like a hard-hitting type of Western, like sort of gritty. And one of the things that came up, and I really do want to hear your opinion, I'm not being facetious, is we want the characters, like all of them are terrible, unlikable characters. That's what we call a redemption arc. Like at the end, this really terrible person becomes remembered as a hero by the end. But in the beginning, he has no likable characteristics. And it's along the lines of, by any chance, you ever see that movie Django Unchained?
Yep.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Did you like that movie?
Yep. Yeah.
Okay. You know what I mean then about the characters are very unlikable, sort of.
Yeah.
And my question is, there's two of them that are supposed to be very racist characters. Because like, for example, the opening scene is a gallows. They're hanging, a couple of the characters right off the first page. And one of them is a person of color who did not commit the crime. Right? It's 1881. So my question to you is this. I'll make sure I ask this gently because we're on the air. They use certain language that nowadays is bleeped out of the book. For example, I'm a fan of Miracle Man by Alan Moore. You a Miracle Man fan, Aaron? Do you know that series?
I actually just bought a whole bunch of them and I haven't read any of them.
Oh, great, because I want to see what you think here. Here they have a villain who basically he's trying to rouse the heroes to action by committing atrocities on planet Earth, and they're really grim. Like he goes through London and he severs everybody's hands in London, and then he goes through and he sets entire cities on fire and stuff like that. But then when he walks in, he uses the N-word because he's a racist, and the N-word is bleeped out of the story. And I remember thinking when I read it, well, geez, he can sever everybody's hands and set the city on fire, but it's too shocking to use the N-word. So my question to you is this, and remember, I'm trying to set it up. You're not supposed to like the person. You're supposed to hate them. He's
right.
Racist, right? Is it okay to have him use the N-word?
I don't know, man. It's just,
I didn't write it.
Yeah,
I want to know what you think, though. I do want to know what you think.
From a historical point of view, yes. From a fictional world point of view, I don't know. I don't know. Like historically, it'd be accurate,
Right. He does it. By the way, he does it to the Chinese too, and there's a woman that's a prostitute. You'll get the idea when you read it. The guy's mean, is what he is.
Mhm.
Right.
But what people would get out of it, which, and hopefully you guys know this. Like I'm actually pretty stable person. Like there's nothing about me that's hateful, but I'm trying to illustrate what a hateful person would say and how they would act.
Right.
And-
So
Right.
I have that kind of debate with myself on stuff that I do from a different perspective because of my spiritual background. There's certain lines that I told myself I wasn't willing to cross.
Tell us a little bit about that, Aaron, if you don't mind.
Well, particularly like in the stuff that comes out through Catalyst Comics, we bleep all of our language. It's mostly because of the way that I was raised and grew up, and the way I read comics as well growing up.
Okay.
But now that I'm scripting for other people who have hired me, like that's not my product. I've just hired a script, so I feel differently about it when it's from somebody else. So, I mean, I feel like that's really a more personal thing of like, what line do you want to have? Where are you willing to go with it? And you know, for me, it just came down to my company versus other people's work.
Okay. I respect that. And by the way, I'm with you. I don't put profanity in my books at all. The worst word that we ever had, we had the word, one of the soldiers uses the word bitch, which I realize that might sound awfully tame, but that is actually the hardest language that we've used. So in your recommendation, Aaron, would you bleep the N-word?
If it was coming out, like if I wrote it and it was coming out through my company, I would bleep it.
Okay.
However,
Katrina's in the audience. Katrina, as an editor, if you basically the characters he's going to be saying something like, and remember the setup is the reader can kind of tell that the guy's innocent. He says something like, he says, you got the wrong guy. He says, I'm a salesman from Ohio. Like you can tell that he's not a horse thief. They just grab the guy because he's a person of color and he's getting ready to be hung. And the marshal says something to the effect of, he's an N horse thief. Katrina, would you bleep that word in a script? What would you do? And while we're waiting for her answer, JR, what would you do?
I think I would bleep it just purely from a like, again, like if you're going to be doing it, if you're putting it out there.
Right.
I do fully agree on the aspect of like the historical aspects of it. That is completely true, and you know, it's a word that was used, and you know, that's not to me. That's not what the question is at hand. It's current day. If I think people would get the idea, even if you bleeped it out, you know.
Gotcha. How about if it was, and this is the double-edged sword. He turns it. The other thing he says is the chink. Would bleep that?
I probably would too. Yeah, I mean, like that's obviously it's less known to a general audience, probably, but like I still think it's still profanity.
Yeah.
So like, you know, if you're, I guess it just depends. Like if you're not putting profanity in other stuff. Yeah, I guess that's my.
And by the way, this book is a mature reader's advisory too. Compare those. Greg, thanks for sharing your thoughts, JR. Greg, how about you? Hold it, Katrina. I think I'd bleep it. Yeah. Okay, it seems like we have a consensus here. Greg, how about you? Would you bleep it?
So, I'll be controversial.
Yeah, Dylan, right there.
But we also don't bleep out profanity. Yeah. Okay. So, I obviously swear in my comics, except Mittens. We don't do
yet.
No, we're not going. The darn tuna sandwich.
The final page.
The final page. Just the F word. Just all over it.
So, Greg, you say bleep or no?
I would bleep it like that, but like, you know, the F word, I would still say the F word. So.
Well, see, this is what I would think, buddy. And again, this is one man's opinion. And this is why you notice that I do try to learn from other people, because I'm not sure what the right move is here. But I would say that if you're in for a dime, you're in for a dollar. If you're going to bleep it out, then bleep out the F words too. And there's a part where he's shooting the dog. Maybe have him give out flowers right there.
I do believe in I do believe in consistency. Like, you know, like I said, on mine, I bleep them all. But like for other people's scripts, I haven't bleeped anything. So like I feel like if you're going to bleep them all.
Yeah. And by the way, thank you for that valuable feedback. And I tell you why, because a lot of people have said things to me like, "Yeah,
It's okay.
Katrina,
It's
the
okay,
guy's
Katrina. The dog comes
guy's
back
terrible."
as a superhero.
Right, Dylan. And by the way, I'm not necessarily going for the shock value. What I'm trying to do is create somebody that you hate right away. And it's almost like there is no way that, like, it's not a gray area. You're going to be like, well, these people are all terrible. That's what you're supposed to get out of it. And, there's really no better way. There's two great ways in a story to show someone is terrible. Number one is racist language. Number two is they're mean to a dog. And my guy does both of those things.
So that's your takeaway then. This dude's
Yeah.
a piece of shit.
And by the way, it's very like, if somebody likes the type of movie like Django, they're probably going to like it. But if they don't like that type of movie, there's no way that this is going to win them over.
Right.
I'm kind of weird because like if I was to watch like Friday 13th, and I actually like root for Jason because the teenagers are so stupid. But like I was actually
Weird thing to
about that
say
with,
out loud and admit, but okay.
Where was I going with that? Anyway,
Just that you're a weirdo, which we
yeah,
kind,
I'm
of,
just a weirdo.
kind of knew.
Oh,
Kind of
but
knew.
if he was to kill a dog, then I hate Jason. So yeah, it's a certain line right there.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Valuing dogs' lives over humans. Got it. All right. Got it. Greg. Noted.
Well, and in my case, what people have said to me is things like, what they said to me are things like, people would quickly forget that it was the character was terrible. What they would hear is that there was a publisher who was spreading hateful material, and they might not even read through to the end, which free marketing is a bonus.
Let me throw this at you, because I think if I were to write that as a novel, I don't think I'd bleep it. Because you wouldn't bleep it in a novel. That'd be inappropriate as a novelist. Anyway, so that's fun for you to think about.
Oh, yeah.
Believe it or not, that is helpful.
Yeah.
And I really do. Well, first of all, Dylan's got a good point, and I'll tell you what it is. I can see both sides of it. Number one is there's really no such thing as bad publicity. There's only publicity. So we said initially, let's actively try to write a book that will be banned.
Oh, okay. Well, then don't bleep it.
Well, but hold on. Hear me till the end.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, I agree on novelists. I agree with them too. And I guess what I mean by this is I wouldn't... I talk out of both sides of my mouth. Like I said, that there's no such thing as bad publicity. But on the other hand, I have a product line. It isn't like I don't have to be concerned about the impact across the length of my product. And it isn't designed to offend people of color, and Asians and women got it pretty bad. And there's a mentally disabled guy that gets beaten with a broom. There's lots of terrible things in the Old West. But I don't know that shying away from it, does that weaken the story? Maybe. I don't know. Maybe it does a little. And I would say even the part that's going to be most controversial of all, and I kind of glossed over this, it's a story of Christian redemption is what the ending is. And I think that's liable to be the most shocking part of all. But I'm worried that people might not get to the end if they're so worked up about the language getting there. You know what I mean?
The next series that I have starting is similar vein to that, as far as the overall thing being someone dealing with the things they were told to do in the name of God, and then recognizing that that's not actually what was happening, and like how they balance their faith with that. And so the character himself is dark when you meet him, and he's been through that whole battle with himself, and like the ultimate question in the story is like, is he even able to forgive himself and find some sort of redemption? Like those are, I mean, identifiable stories that I think a lot of people can get along fine with. And so I've had those similar questions on content of like, well, how far am I willing to push this particular element or that particular element when I know what the purpose of the ending of the story is? So I don't know.
Suppose you could also maybe, what do you guys think about this? I suppose you could probably, first of all, have a M cover advisory anyway, due to there's violence in it. But you could maybe do two versions, and one could be the rated R version, you know, what I call 15 plus.
Right.
Because it's certainly no worse than anything you're going to see in Friday the 13th, as Greg said.
Right.
But then you could have a version which you could call it
The uncensored.
the uncensored version, and the advisory would be something like, "This is what we batted around, due to its offensive content." Hold on, I got to think of the saying. It says, "Okay, it's a historically accurate depiction of Western life in the 1880s, with depictions of racially offensive language, indigenous cruelty, and harsh situations. Due to its content, this should not be viewed by anyone." And I think that that would pull people in just hearing that. But I'll share with you the ending of what it is. Basically, you have this. The Indians attack this town. They're mad because it's built on their sacred prayer ground, and it's like a mining town. And they just slaughter everyone and kidnap the last surviving woman, which is this Catholic nun. And they're driving her away on this horse, right? And of course, she's being tortured, and it's all very terrible. And the Chinaman, who's like do you know what a coolie is? It's a little better than a slave, like a low-paid railroad worker.
Okay.
Yeah, the Chinese were an oppressed class in the 1880s.
Right.
And he starts gearing up and putting his stuff on the horse. And the gunslinger, the guy who was about to be hung, is like, "What are you doing? We're alive. What are you following him for?" He's like, "What do you mean? I can't leave a woman to torment and death. I was raised differently in my country. I'm going to go get her." And the gunman says something like, "I can't let a chink do something that I won't do." And so he follows, and they both go and they rescue the woman. And bear in mind, you've just seen all these terrible things in the setup of who this gunslinger is. So when they rescue the woman, and of course the gunslinger's killed, and the Chinaman and the nun survive. She loses an eye. That's why the graphics will have her. She's the one-eyed nun. Mm-hmm. And the Indian carves her eye out in an attempt to see God. This gives you an idea of what kind of book we're talking about here, right? So
normal Tuesday,
right. So then the dialogue is something to the effect of, the nun says, "I can't believe that this outlaw came back to save us," right? And hey, thanks, Gareth, for tuning in. I appreciate that. Give me a shout out. I'll be glad to help you support your product. And they say something to the effect of, "Hey, he didn't save you. He just saved himself." Right. And then, of course, the last scene is, they find the loot that the gunslinger from when he robbed the stagecoach, and they use it to finish the unfinished church that was in the first stage. And the kids are running around. They've got these nice, clean pressed shirts on, and it's like the whole town is transformed after they find this loot. And the very last scene, the Chinaman is watering the grave, and it's the gunman. And he's got some dialogue, and it says something to the effect of, "I aim to become the meanest outlaw in the West, but I became something else." And on his gravestone, it's his name, and it says, "Friend, protector, savior of the innocent." And like all the stuff up to it has all been forgotten. The only thing that they remembered is that he saved the woman. And if you can get that far, it's a redemption arc. But the idea is that it's super grim ride the whole way along.
Right. Cool.
Yeah, it's got legs, right?
Yeah. Horse's legs.
Yeah, and certainly way different than everything I've been doing. So
yeah,
I definitely want to try the Western.
Yeah, it's fun to get in the weird stuff. Actually, the short story that I'm may be a stretch goal in this campaign is a Western. It's the first time that I've ever messed with Western myself, and it's been pretty fun.
Do you have a favorite Western movie or anything?
Probably 310 to Yuma.
Oh man, great one. Yeah, dude.
Yeah. And I'm not even a big Western fan. That's just like the one that always comes to mind when people ask me that.
Yeah. And by the way, that's a pretty good example, right? You got Russell Crowe's.
Yep.
He's a pretty harsh dude in that movie.
Yep. I'm gonna go.
Oh, it's after 8. Oh man.
Yep.
Wow.
We did it.
we did it.
Yeah, people should back tilt.
Yes. Check it out.
I did.
Yeah.
Huzzah!
Yeah.
Huzzah! Looking forward to
a couple backers for Mittens. So.
Huzzah!
pretty crazy.
Nice.
And I got
That's
next
awesome.
time I see you, Aaron, I also want to talk about. I perceived you were a flash fiction guy, which I am also.
Yep, sure am. Yeah, I'm down to talk about anything and everything. Well,
Cool.
I mean, for the most part.
Yeah,
All right, guys, it's been nice, Timothy. I'm glad you got to come on here, man. It's always
yeah,
nice to
it was
see
great seeing you. And I got to get you on the show too. I forget it. Do we have something lined up or not?
you. I think we started talking about it, and then we both got busy and didn't finish
we
talking
didn't.
about it.
Okay, I'll reach out to you.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
All right, fellas, have a good night.
Good to see you, man.
Catch you later.
Bye.
Yeah, I got to get running as well.
Cool.
I didn't realize it was already after 8. I was just gonna hang around till then.
Yeah. Okay.
Nice to meet you, JR.
Yeah, you too, Tim. Yeah, I know. Your name comes through a lot. I swear we've done probably one live
Probably
stream
my, like,
together.
Comic-Con.
Yeah. I used to
Oh, it
do
could be.
the virtual Comic-Con. Which is there going to be
Mhm.
one this year?
Probably, yeah. I get those days off from my job, so I don't have to
Use them
actually
for
like take time off for it, like the other jobs. So that's cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, I'm hopping
Good to
off,
see you,
so I'll
man.
catch you later.
Yeah.
Yeah, you too.